Hi, and welcome to another episode of You're in Charge with Glenn Pasch. And today's episode, we're speaking with Bob Lanham. He is the head of automotive retail for Facebook. Oh, wait a minute. You wanted to wonder what's going on in the background? Yeah, we're changing the studio up a little bit, so we're under construction, as well as we're changing the logo, a few different designs. But as always, the same great content. So back to Bob. Bob Lanham, head of automotive retail at Facebook. I sit down with him to talk to him about the main misconceptions about Facebook as a marketing platform. Where are businesses and dealerships not leveraging the platform? The other thing I spend some time talking with Bob about is his journey. I'm sure many people have asked him on podcasts about marketing and how to do it better. I wanted to know about his journey, starting off at Microsoft, coming out of college, then ending up at Hulu, and then ending up at Facebook with a few other stops along the way. What was his journey like? How has his perspective of marketing changed through this digital evolution? He was right in the midst of this growth, as well as what's his journey like building a team, leading a team, dealing with remote. Fascinating. And I also ask him, was he interviewed and hired by Mark Zuckerberg? Listen to his answer there. So we have a couple clips I want to show you so that you see what type of content and type of conversations we're having. So let's dive into a few of these clips right now. What's the biggest either misconception of how to leverage Facebook for advertising purposes, or what are some of the biggest mistakes that people are making using Facebook? So either way you want to go.
I think the biggest perception that I tend to hear is that there's this perception you need a PhD to be able to understand how to execute Facebook, or more importantly, what its purpose is. I just think from the beginning, it was sold very complicated, right? It's this whole entire platform. You got to have this optimization knowledge and auction knowledge and so on and so forth. And at the end of the day, what we tell dealers is the same strategies you've been running since probably the existence of the dealership are the same strategies that you can run on Facebook, which is a branding strategy, which is an inventory strategy, which is a CRM strategy, right? All these strategies can be done. So what I've been trying to do the past couple of years is just uncomplicate it and simplify it, because it truly is a simple platform. So I took that away and I said, man, we really need a playbook, right? So that's our infrastructure, which is the Facebook playbook for dealers that has 4 strategies. Now, could you deviate against them? Of course. Can you add, components to it? Absolutely. But at the core, it's a strategy. And I've always said, and I've always learned this is, Facebook's very product focused. We have all these products, right? But we don't sell products, right? Products fulfill strategies. So we sell strategies and then let the products fulfill that. So the second we had the playbook at hand, right? The next person that came on understood the playbook, and the next person that came on understood the playbook. And listen, we might say it differently or have a different joke, between slide 1 and 2, but at the end of the day, the strategies remain the core so that the team can be consistent. More importantly, the messaging is consistent. I'll tell you, Glenn, I really felt the power of that come April of last year. I really did, because when obviously the pandemic hit, dealers, what do we do? I got to cut advertising. I got to do this. What do we do? Right. And Facebook, unfortunately, was elevated. Time spent was elevated. There's a lot of free offerings on there. But when it was time to start back paid and they saw the power of Facebook, the playbook was something they may have heard that they knew, but they didn't really know what to do. Now they just kind of went with it. And we've seen some benefits of that.
What was the one thing that stood out that you would want people to take away from our conversation?
I loved where you went about skill sets. I think it's so important as managers, especially, to understand their team at that level. Like, what drives each individual employee to want to succeed? Because it is different, right? It is. I have someone who's very educated on my team, who's very by the book, right? And then I have someone over here that's very similar to me. It's like throw it any way you want to. I'll figure it out and watch, right? Like I'll go this way, but I'll still end up this way. So it's understanding that and then modeling your coaching around that. So I loved when you sort of asked about traits, because it is so important. And listen, I'll tell you this. I'm not, and I'm sorry I couldn't answer your book question. I'm not a book manager. I'm not a book seller. I'm not a book, just not a huge reader. Now I will skim your book and Frank Loeb's books and George Nanetti's books. I definitely skim those, but I will not sit down and grab, it's just not me. So a lot of it is instinct. And I think if you make it more personal than professional, you can really hone in onto what your instincts are.
So that's just a sample of some of the conversation that I have. Also, stay around to the end of the episode. As always, we hit our guests with rapid fire, where we ask them various questions that are just random, out of the blue, to unpack a little bit more about our guest. So please join us. Go listen to this full episode wherever you consume your podcast, be it Apple, Google, Spotify, or iHeartRadio, or wherever it is. Just type in "You're in Charge, Now What?" with Glenn Pasch. As I said, we're going to be shortening the title to "You're in Charge with Glenn Pasch." But right now, you're in charge, now what? So please go listen to this episode. It's great value, or any of the episodes on the podcast. As always, thank you so much for your attention. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share. And if you like what you see, smash those stars, leave a review, help spread the word about the podcast. So as always, you're in charge, but now you have a few more tools to help you become more successful. So thank you so much. I'll see you next time, and happy listening.